Hello, everybody. Awesome adventures. You are watching me focus this camera, kind of. Welcome to episode 11. And if you're not sure what you are watching, um, I'll break it down for you. Every weekday here in December, we here at SERVPRO the South Towns are going live. And why are we doing that? Because we are hungry for attention? No, because we want to inject some holiday cheer into people's lives. My name is Dan Bauer here at SERVPRO the South Towns, and I've been doing all sorts of stuff the past 2 weeks to try to bring that holiday cheer. Sometimes I've been talking about motivational things. A lot of the time I've been interviewing some really, really awesome guests. Uh, the Family Meal Hospitality Trust, Jill Gedra. We talked to Feed Hamburg. Yesterday we talked to Community Service for Everyone just to highlight the awesome work that they're doing. We also had a guest appearance from the boss here, Lynn Braun. Actually, listen to this. I'm going to give her a call, see if she wants to come again. So, let's see. All right, ringing. Phone is ringing. Oh, this is not good TV. Oh, is that her coming? All right. We'll see if she shows up. Yeah. Good morning, Kathy. It's good to see you. Where is Tom? Oh my God. If I tried to call him, I think he might fire me. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to come on. Maybe he's camera shy or something. I can tell you a story about Tom that I think is very funny. That he not only doesn't think is funny, he doesn't understand why it's funny. There's my camera. Tom, bless his heart, helped me to remodel my house when I first moved in because it was very much. It was a beautiful house, but there's some stuff in there that was dated, some stuff we wanted to update just to make it feel like home. And one thing about Tom is he's got a very particular way of working, which includes he needs to control the music. So every time he would come in to start working, he would take over the playlist. He would force me to let him Bluetooth to the speaker, and you would put on the most insane playlist I've ever heard. And this is like May that we're doing this for context. He would come in Bluetooth, and like literally the first three songs that came on, it was Last Christmas by Wham, then Pour Some Sugar on Me, and then X Gonna Give It to You, which is like a crazy cocktail of feelings and emotions and vibes. And I looked at him like, what is this? And he had no idea why it was so weird. So Tom's a weirdo. Yeah, Kathy, you don't want me hear it. It's basically just every song. It's like if you took every song ever and shook it in a box. That's what Tom's playlist is. So I'll keep working on him. I would not hold your breath that he would come on. I'm being told that Lynn is talking to our front office staff right now, so she may or may not come and visit us. Nikki, I guess if you see her, let her know that we'd love to have her on. We are broadcasting right now. Kathy, I have a question for you and anybody else who's watching. This is our topic today. The topic of mentors. Kind of who taught you to be who you are. I had a lot of older cousins when I was growing up, and they taught me a lot. I was like 4 years old, and there were two that I really looked up to. They were Ryan and Anthony. They were probably, if I was 4, they were probably like 10 years old, 8 or 10 years old. And I younger kids worship older kids. They like want to be around them all the time. They want to be them. They want to talk like them. They want to act like them. If they can't do the things that those older kids are doing, they want to watch those older kids do those things. It was like, they totally, absolutely adore them. And they were nice to me sometimes. They like let me pal around with them. They did mess with me sometimes. One incident in particular that I remember that ruined me was they took like a hacky sack and they covered it in blue chalk. And so then they threw it at me, and as I picked it up, and my hands get covered in blue chalk, and I'm like, what is this? And they told me, Dan, that's the Smurf ball. Because you touched it, you're now going to turn into a Smurf. You're going to shrink down and become a little blue man. And this, I believe them. Why would they lie to me? And I was absolutely terrified for an entire day that I was going to turn into a Smurf and die. So that sucked. But they were mentors to me in the sense that I absolutely wanted to emulate everything they did, up to and including cruelty to children. Um, they also like swore a blue streak at 10 years old. They said stuff that, like, even if I heard people say it now, would absolutely blow my mind. And so I was 4 years old. That was like terrifying to me, but also like very exhilarating to me. They would teach me all these words they had learned at school, which I will not repeat here, no matter how much you ask me. Uh, and I wanted to use those words too. And I thought about it a long. I remember at 4 years old, just the thought of saying any of this stuff. Um, I glowed. I was lifted up. I couldn't imagine the freedom of saying it. And one day, maybe this is because of what they said. Maybe this is because of a very similar moment in The Simpsons, which I, for some reason, at 4 years old, watched religiously. We were sitting at the table. I'm probably sitting on a phone book or something. I'm eating mashed potatoes and green beans and God knows what. And I sort of looked at my mom and I looked at my dad, and I proudly announced to the table that I don't want any. I do not want any GD vegetables. Um, my parents have a pretty good sense of humor, so I have to imagine that when they heard this, they probably laughed and like got a real kick out of it. But they also knew that like they had to do something about it, and they could not really get through to my little brain that you can't talk like that. So my mom, in a twist on the classic soap in the mouth, she's like looking around like, "What can I do? What are you supposed to do?" And my parents are young at this point. Like they, um, I actually don't know how old they would have been. Probably in their 20s, maybe younger than I am now. They, my mom looks around for what she's supposed to do. And she finds like a thing of pepper, and so she makes me stick out my tongue, and I go and she pours a bunch of black pepper on my tongue, thinking that it's gonna somehow burn me, I guess. And all I do is like a gum, nom, 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 and I smile and I ask for seconds. Um, but at that point they totally give up on punishing me. They're like, "This is stupid," but I kind of got the idea. And those were my first mentors, right? Those were my parents, and also my older cousins. All these people that were around me that I really looked up to, but b they took an interest in me. My cousins, they wanted to kind of make me into a bad kid, or at least a 4 year old that said swear words all the time, which is objectively funny. And my parents, who of course wanted me to be a good kid, um, did either of them succeed? Was I a bad kid or a good kid? I can't exactly say for sure, but I can say that things definitely didn't turn out how they planned. It didn't work the way that they thought it was going to work. Um, but the simple fact that they took an interest in me, that they wanted to pay attention to me, that they wanted to help me in their own ways, that went a lot further than any particular lesson. So that's why I want to talk about mentors today, because it's really important to have them in your life. You learn from everything, but there are certain people, certain lessons that you learn that stick with you, that really shape who you are in the world. And I want to hear those lessons. I want to hear who really shaped you. So, Kathy, I know you're watching. Anybody else who's watching, who are your mentors? Was it your parents? Was it a teacher? Uh, if you go to church, was it somebody in your church? Was it an older brother or sister? Was it a random dude on the street? There are occasions like that. I've heard stories of people go through life hearing all sorts of lessons from their parents, but it's some like you see some random guy smoking and he looks you in the eye and you're 8 years old and he tells you to never smoke, and for some reason that's what gets through to you. There are mentors like that, as well as these people who are in our lives. I mean, I think for most of us, those first mentors are your parents. They, if we're lucky, I should say, and you have parents who are interested in your life. And here's Kathy. My mentor was my dad. He was an amazing man. I miss him every day. Kathy, what did your dad teach you? What lessons really stuck with you? What do you want people to know about your dad? Because I'm gonna say the same. My first mentor were my parents. They did take an interest in me. They did want to teach me certain lessons. They did want me to turn out a certain way. They were there. Unlike a lot of my friends growing up, my parents stayed together. They're still with us. I'm not that old. I still talk to them basically every single day. Um, and it's it's funny. They did try to teach me certain things. Like, and one thing that like really stuck was they taught me to like learn how to read very early, and not just learn how to read, but how to love reading, and that stuck. But a lot of the stuff that I learned from them wasn't really stuff that they tried to teach me. It was stuff that I just learned from looking at them, like watching them, watching the way that they went through the world. My mom is like the most loving, caring, generous, and dedicated, hardworking person I've ever met. And there's like a joke in A Christmas Story where they have the mom. They say she hasn't eaten a hot meal in 15 years because she's so busy taking care of the family. She never gets to sit down and eat with them. My mom was kind of like that. I mean, I think she had a few hot meals now and then, but even now, like if she hadn't gotten Facebook and learned how to mess around on Facebook, I don't think she'd ever relax. She's always on her feet, doing something, taking care of things, and that really made an impression on me. Just someone has to take care of things. Somebody has to be that hard worker. To me, that was her. My dad was kind of different. It was oftentimes it was sort of seeing him in contrast to other people, or seeing things he didn't do that I really learned from, or that I remember really thinking about when I was growing up. Um, like he had some friends growing up, like and these were his friends from high school, and he's still friends with them now. So I hope they never see this. And they were like very raucous, manly men dudes, like loved drinking beer and hanging out, and they loved dirty jokes, and they loved saying those dirty jokes to a 4-year-old and seeing what his reaction is. Like, of course, it's just utter confusion. They were frankly pretty gross about women, and one thing that I sort of saw immediately was the difference between my dad and them. Is my dad, I was always proud that when I looked at him, he wasn't participating in any of this. He was shutting it down. He taught me to respect everyone, to treat everybody well, no matter who they were, to not participate in this sort of like childishness and aggression. And he taught me that not really so much on purpose, but just in the way that he acted. But I knew from a very young age, just seeing him do that, that was the way to be. And that made a huge impression on me. That was more than I think if he would have sat me down and told me to act a certain way. Just seeing the way he carried himself, I wanted to be like that too. And I had all these contrasts, these examples of people who weren't doing that. And I could be, so it was very easy to see the way that I wanted to be. In school, my teachers, I was very lucky because I was sort of a nominally good student. Hi, Cindy. Good morning. We're about to talk about teachers, so this is a perfect time for you to join. Cindy, I would love to know, who are your mentors? Who taught you how to be Cindy? Who taught you how to be so nice and so kind and so caring? What did they teach you? Tell us a little bit. Was it your parents? Was it teachers? Was it someone in your life who really made an impact on you? You've certainly made an impact on me. So I'd love to hear that from you. I was talking about teachers, saying that I was a good student technically, but I was also sort of a jerk. I was very entitled from like a very, very young age. Like I was, frankly, I was like a little lunatic. I remember the first time I had to ask a teacher for help, and it was this was second grade, and I remember it being like an absolutely humiliating experience for me, which is a crazy attitude to have as a child. But I needed help. I think it was with like cursive, which I needed to make like a Z or something. I still can't make a cursive Z, and I reluctantly raised my hand, and the teacher came over and she showed me how to make a Z, and everything was fine. And it was like I had to create this, and I remember creating this entire fantasy in my head that she must have been so happy at this anomaly that she got to teach me how to make a cursive Z, that she like went home and told her kids and told her husband and told her, like, it was like I said, I was a little lunatic, and I was totally entitled. And so I had a lot of teachers that really looked out for me, but a lot of them were like my friends, my buddies, my pals. In fifth grade, there was a guy, his name was literally Jared Fogel, and he absolutely despised me. And he told my parents I was out to undermine him, and I was like, I'm 11. I never really had too many teachers that I think filled that mentor role until I went to college. And it was probably it was my sophomore year, and I enrolled in what I thought was going to be a blow-off class. Communication Arts 101, which, what could that even be, right? And it was with a professor, her name is Dr. Julie Wilson. And when I walked into that class, I was like, this is going to be a breeze. Uh-oh. I think we got a visitor coming. All right.
If I'm too late, I get it, but I had a COVID call.
A COVID call?
And I had to
no, we're
address
on.
that. It was my paving company.
Here,
and
get
I
on.
had to do solid. Hey. Twice in 1 month. This is unprecedented times for sure. Oh, my God. But I wanted to say...
This is Lynn, by the way. This is
yeah.
Lynn Braun. She owns the company.
So, anyways, I wanted to say, like, yesterday we did a really... The last couple of days we've had some really good ones, like Feed Hamburg, huge. We'll be making a donation to them, next week?
Yeah.
We sponsored 5 young kids in the adoption system, right? Was it the
yeah, for families. I didn't actually talk about this, but for family services.
Get in, Dan.
And I'm really proud of this because we put an envelope out to our crew, our production technicians especially, and we were like, there are these kids in the foster system, and can you imagine how tough it is right now to be in the foster system, where it's tough already, but now it's COVID, people don't want strangers in their house, they're not taking risks. Who's going to take the risk of adopting a kid or going to the foster system? It's really, really, really tough for these kids.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
we took it to our employees, and I also took it to my AA group, not Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah,
it's
clarify.
Arts and Alcohol. And all my girlfriends stepped up and they donated, and so we came up with a bunch of numbers and we just started to spread the love. So we spread the love through Feed Hamburg, the GA Family Services with the kids. We sponsored 5 kids and bought them all gifts, and Feed Hamburg.
Yeah, and the Family Meal Hospitality Trust, that was right at I think that was day 2, and then of course community services.
Yeah, so we're really trying to give back to the community, especially now. It's our time. It's our town. It's our time to shine, and that's what we really want to do. So you could, if you're my friend on Facebook, you could go to my Lynn Geyer Braun, and I have a donate button on yesterday's podcast to donate to community services. That would be awesome if you go ahead. I want to thank, all my AA girls, Arts and Alcohols, not Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. I want to thank all of them. I want to thank Mindy Cervoni for the huge shout out, yesterday to me for helping them, but wah. And anyways, and Feed Hamburg for the huge shout out too. And thanks. It's been a really good one, and I'm kind of liking this whole thing, Dan.
Yeah,
maybe I should join every day.
Yeah, well,
maybe your worst nightmare, people.
And Lynn's being kind of modest, which is not like her at all.
Yeah, you're right.
She's raised over $500 in the last day for community services just by putting it out there. So part of the reason I wanted to have her on is because Facebook is dumb, and Zuckerberg, if you're watching this, we're watching you.
Horrible.
But I can't just share her donate. I can't put that out there.
That was bad. I think I could have done more money, but that's why we're here today. Shout out, go to me. If you're not my friend, get the hint. You're not going to be my friend. No kidding. I'll friend anybody. And, you can donate there. It's so nice to see all these people that join in every day on this live feed.
Everybody wants Tom.
That's not going to happen. Thanks, Katie Belch, for those kind words. Cindy, thank you for the kind words. You're very kind people, and without all you guys, this would not work. So thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and give back if you can. There's a lot of hurting families out there. A lot of them. You can talk to those Feed the Hamburg people. Talk to Mindy. There's a lot of sad people out there. Let's give back.
So Lynn, before you go,
what?
we're talking about mentors today. So
okay.
I asked everybody who their big mentors, big influence was. Kathy said her dad.
Yeah.
He's an amazing man. He taught her how to be caring, how to volunteer for her community,
how
to always be happy. Others have it a lot worse for you. He volunteered for over 50 years in the local fire department. So he helped a lot of people, I imagine, over the course of that time.
Where's it gonna go? Who's my mentor?
Yeah, hit me.
I really, one of my mentors still is Fred Cohen, who is our trainer. I respect I respect him more than any in business. I listen to every word he says. I couldn't I couldn't respect anyone more than that. He's huge, helping me with a business, with my decision. He's frank, he's honest, and that was one of my mentors. My dad, always be happy, always be smiling. That was another one of my mentors. And I had a mentor early in my life too. Was one of my other bosses was Joe Orlando was another mentor. So those were the three people that in business I really respected, and my father, who always had a positive, happy outlook. And I hope that I have that. Do I, Dan?
Maybe.
What?
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, when I'm tough, I'm tough. I get that from Fred. So, there you go.
Cool.
Yeah, so can I leave now?
Yeah, you're free to go.
Okay, 'cause I gotta let my dog out.
All
All right,
bye,
I'll
Dad.
see. Hey, maybe I'll be back, you guys. I'm kind of really digging this. I'm just saying. So, let me just jingle bells, jingle all the way. All right.
Thank
I'm
you,
outta
Lynn.
here. Thanks,
Thanks,
Dan.
you guys. All right, Lynn Braun, everybody. Always, you never know how that's gonna go. It usually goes well. Kathy, thank you for sharing. It sounds like, honestly, a lot of what Lynn said about her dad, it sounds like your dad the same way. How to be caring, volunteer. Those are awesome lessons to learn, especially when you're younger. Nikki, I saw you comment, your mentor is your mom, Lynn, and then you deleted it. Well, I noticed, and I'm putting it on video. Cindy, I'd love to know who your mentors are. I should tag Fred too as well. So I was talking about a professor, who has been a huge influence in my life, Julie Wilson, because I waltzed into her class my freshman year of school or sophomore year, and I had just been sort of Lynn left her phone here, sort of coasting as I often did at that point in my life, and I figured what the heck can communication arts be, and I took my first test, and it was this stuff like what is culture, how does it affect people, etc. And I just sort of BS'd it. Like, what could the answer to this even be? I'd skipped a bunch of classes. Hi Maria, how's it going? Good to see you. But yeah, I BS'd it, and it was just like whatever. And when I got my grade back, I expected to get to squeeze by. I got an F. I failed miserably. First time that had ever happened, and I wasn't even mad. I guess I didn't take it personally. I was curious, I guess. I was like, how could I possibly be so wrong that I failed? I didn't realize this was something you could do so wrong that you failed completely. So, because I'd answered vague answers, things that couldn't even possibly be proven wrong. So I went to Julie's office and I started talking to her about it, and I realized two major things. One is that she was absolutely brilliant, and two, I was like a mental infant. That the way I viewed the world was absolutely wrong. Because I could sit there and BS about culture, like wax poetic, whatever I wanted to say about it, but in the face of actual facts and actual research and actual opinions, I was like a mental infant. I was a dummy, and that act of failing and being given the opportunity to fail after I'd been frankly kind of coddled for a long time, which I'm privileged to say that was my experience in school, but it was. Being able to fail didn't bring me down. It sort of opened up the world to me because I could see for the first time that the world was very rich and very varied and very interesting. There was a lot going on that I had missed because I had been acting like I was the center of the universe for 21 years. And not only was I not the center of the universe, I was barely a part of the universe. I was way on the fringe of even my own life, just kind of skating by, hanging out with my friends, partying, whatever. Failing was necessary to kind of bring me back up, and that led to I'm still friends with Julie. I worked with her the entire time I was in school. I helped research a little bit for a book that she wrote on motherhood with another awesome professor, Emily Yoakum, and I sponsored. She just made a documentary called Bending Hell. Google it if you're curious. It's about a rural Pennsylvania election. It's very interesting stuff. Being given that opportunity to fail was a huge mentorship experience, and she didn't set out to fail me. She didn't set out to teach me anything. It was just her being herself that had such a huge effect on me. Um, and to this day, that gave me that opportunity to have that feeling that I could peek behind the curtain of the world a little bit and see how things really work and really understand things. That has driven me in a lot of things that I've done in life. Obviously, these days, I am in a different part of my life than a lot of this. I don't live with my parents anymore. I live in a different state than my parents. They're out in Pittsburgh. I'm not in school anymore. I don't have people whose job it is to teach me things. And so the mentors in my life tend to be people who. I'm just going to close this door. People who are just great influences. And hi, Kathy. Thank you for saying hi to Lynn. I will pass that on. Now I'm seeing this. She's off camera, but nice of you to say hi. She will be back, and I'd be remiss actually if I didn't give her a shout out. And Tom. I mean, they are mentors to me now. They're huge influences on my life. The reason I laughed at Lynn saying that she's so positive is that like literally right before I hopped on, she chewed me out for procrastinating on our Christmas gifts. And you know what? She was right. And so I didn't take it personally. I need people like that. That's the reason why she's such a great mentor is like nothing gets by her. There's no lowering the standard with her. And that's a huge lesson to learn. Especially in a world where people don't always act like that, where people are more than willing to accept things that are substandard. Somebody looking at you and saying you can do better than this is huge. That's sort of the essence of mentorship. But past that, I would say biggest mentor in my life, biggest influence, and this is going to sound really cheesy, would be my lovely fiance Nikki. Unbelievable enough. So Lynn left her phone here. If anybody can hack in, I could turn it off, but I can't. Anyway, biggest influence in my life is my fiance right now, Nikki Brown, and she is genuinely the most grounded, the most caring, and like loyal, and like clear-sighted, I guess I should say, individual that I've ever met. So I'm very lucky to have her in my life, and I try to tell her that every single day because I mean it. Because one thing that is really impresses me about Nikki, and I think it impresses everybody who knows her. I'm not alone in this. I'm just the lucky one who gets to be with her. That she sees everything for what it is, and she lets you know exactly what she thinks. There's no getting anything by her. And I remember the first time that this really made and had an influence on me is it was when we first had started to get serious about each other. And at that point in my life, I don't know what she saw in me. I was like, I sucked. I was working like a dead end job. I had sleeping in a apartment with like 4 employees in a twin bed where we couldn't afford to turn on the heat. I had for some reason decided that I was going to adopt a cat, who I still have, who absolutely runs our lives sometimes. So I don't know why she stuck around. Thank goodness she did. But I was in the habit at that point of dreaming big, and not in a healthy way, but in a way that kind of helped me to skirt any feeling of responsibility for my life at that point, where I could, instead of looking at what was happening around me, I could just be like, oh, maybe I could do this, maybe I want to do this, and just sort of live in la la land. And I was doing that. I'm sure I was saying something absolutely unhinged, and she sort of took me by the shoulders and she looked me in the eye and she said, Dan, I want to be with you, but if you're gonna blow up our life one day and make us like move to Seattle and start a coffee bean farm because you're mad at your job, then I need to know right now. And nobody had ever talked to me like that before. Most people are more than happy to indulge your like whims and fantasies. And so it was really like a real gut check, I would say. Because here I thought I was being fun. I was really just feeling sorry for myself. And then I had somebody who basically taught me so much at once, who said to me, you have to keep your eyes on what's in front of you. She said to me, you can't take your life for granted. You can't take the people in your life for granted. And I think most of all, you can't confuse fantasy with ambition. You can't confuse life with the appearance of life. And I saw in that moment not just that like what I was doing was stupid and I was just feeling sorry for myself. I saw that my life was right there in front of me with her, and with a life that we could build together, and that made a huge impact on me. And I know she probably doesn't even remember this. Is the funny thing is it's sort of like a funny little joke. Like, I'm not moving to Seattle with you to like live out your Pacific Northwest fantasy dream so you can just feel sorry for yourself again in 6 months. We have to build a life here and now with what's in front of us. That made a huge impact on me. So I am very, very lucky to have that in my life. I hope you have that in yours as well. Um, that's really, I guess, that what I'm trying to say today is when it comes to mentorship, when it comes to teaching somebody something, helping them to improve, being there with them, it really sometimes isn't about what you say. Sometimes it's not even about what you do. Sometimes it's about not leaving your phone in my office. Um, it's not about what you say or what you do sometimes. Sometimes it's just about somebody looking at you and saying that they care enough about you, that they see enough potential in you, that they're going to take an interest in you, to invest some time in you, to want you to be something better or at least something different. They're not just gonna follow the path of least resistance when they talk to you. They're gonna really listen. They're gonna give you input. They are gonna care about you. That's mentorship. And so I think, I don't know, the sum total of that isn't so much any particular lesson. It's you having that experience and being able to internalize that somebody really does care about you and that you're worth caring about. Sometimes we need that from somebody other than ourselves. That's really the value of mentors. And why I'm so interested in the topic is, who did you learn that from? Who treated you in your life like you're worth something? Because that person is a mentor. It doesn't matter exactly what they taught you or how they taught you. And that's my question. Who is your mentor? Who do you want to say thank you? Who are you grateful for? For Kathy, it's her dad. Lynn, it was also her dad. And Fred and Joe Orlando. For Nikki, it's her mom. For me, it's my parents. It's my sisters who, had I more time, I would talk about them. But we've already been on for about half an hour. It's Lynn and Tom. And it's, Julie Wilson. And most of all, it's Nikki, my fiance. Who every single day is that person to me. Who reminds me, who cares about me enough to show me that I'm worth caring about. And so we can build another day together. So I'm starting to get choked up. So I'm going to hop off for now. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for participating. If you're watching this after the fact still, leave a comment. You'll get entered into a drawing. I'm going to actually draw last week's, I think, tomorrow. Maybe Thursday. But thank you for being here. This has been SERVPRO's Awesome Advent. Every weekday at 10 a.m., we are going to go live. Bring some holiday cheer. Have a nice chat about what matters. And I'll see you tomorrow. If you want to get reminded when we go live, leave. I'm going to put a form in the comments so you can get an email or a text or something. Thank you, Maria. You are the best. It's been really nice being here and almost crying, but I didn't cry. You can't tell anybody that I did. I'm Dan Bauer with SERVPRO of the Southtowns. Have a wonderful day.